You should live in such a way that there is nothing which you could not as easily tell your enemy as keep to yourself. You need to avoid certain things in your train of thought, everything random, everything irrelevant, and certainly everything self-important or malicious. You need to get used to winnowing your thoughts, so that if someone says, "What are you thinking about?" you can respond at once, and truthfully, that you are thinking this or thinking that. When a dog is tied to a cart, if it wants to follow, it is pulled and follows, making its spontaneous act coincide with necessity. But if the dog does not follow, it will be compelled in any case. So it is with men too, even if they don't want to, they will be compelled to follow what is destined. What really frightens and dismays us is not external events themselves, but the way in which we think about them. It is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. Today, I escaped anxiety. Or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. Thoroughly convinced of the impossibility of his own suit, a high resolve constrained him not to injure that of another. This is a lover's most stoical virtue, as the lack of it is a lover's most venial sin. Think of your many years of procrastination, how the gods have repeatedly granted you further periods of grace, of which you have taken no advantage. It is time now to realize the nature of the universe to which you belong, and of that controlling power whose offspring you are, and to understand that your time has a limit set to it. Use it, then, to advance your enlightenment, or it will be gone, and never in your power again. The things you think about determine the quality of your mind. The first and most important field of philosophy is the application of principles such as do not lie. Next come the proofs, such as why we should not lie. The third field supports and articulates the proofs, by asking, for example, how does this prove it? What exactly is a proof? What is logical inference? What is contradiction? What is truth? What is falsehood? Thus, the third field is necessary because of the second, and the second because of the first. The most important, though, the one that should occupy most of our time, is the first. But we do just the opposite. We are preoccupied with the third field and give that all our attention, passing the first by altogether. The result is that we lie, but have no difficulty proving why we shouldn't. Stop wandering about. You aren't likely to read your own notebooks, or ancient histories, or the anthologies you've collected to enjoy in your old age. Get busy with life's purpose, toss aside empty hopes, get active in your own rescue if you care for yourself at all, and do it while you can. Remember, it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. You must believe that you are being harmed. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Which is why it is essential that we not respond impulsively to impressions. Take a moment before reacting, and you will find it easier to maintain control. Remember two things. I hope that everything has always been the same, and keeps recurring, and it makes no difference whether you see the same things recur in 100 100 years or 200, or in an infinite period. 2. That the longest lived and those who will die soonest lose the same thing. The present is all that they can give up, since that is all you have, and what you do not have you cannot lose. Remember to act always as if you were at a symposium. When the food or drink comes around, reach out and take some politely. If it passes you by, don't try pulling it back. And if it has not reached you yet, don't let your desire run ahead of you. Be patient until your turn comes. Adopt a similar attitude with regard to children, wife, wealth and status, and in time, you will be entitled to dine with the gods. Go further and decline these goods even when they are on offer, and you will have a share in the gods' power as well as their company. That is how Diogenes, Heraclitus and philosophers like them came to be called, and considered, divine. Remember that all we have is on loan from fortune, which can reclaim it without our permission, indeed, without even advance notice. Thus, we should love all our dear ones, but always with the thought that we have no promise that we may keep them forever, nay, no promise even that we may keep them for long. Regard a friend as loyal, and you will make him loyal. Philosophy does not promise to secure anything external for man, otherwise it would be admitting something that lies beyond its proper subject matter. For as the material of the carpenter is wood, and that of statuary bronze, so the subject matter of the art of living is each person's own life. People hide their truest nature. I understood that. I even applauded it. What sort of world would it be if people bled all over the sidewalks, if they wept under trees, smacked whomever they despised, kissed strangers, revealed themselves? Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. Nothing is burdensome if taken lightly, and nothing need arouse one's irritation so long as one doesn't make it bigger than it is by getting irritated. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. My boyfriends have all been as stoical as Queen's Guards. They'd been patient, committed, and dispassionate, and I'd had to really debase myself to extract any emotion, either grin or grimace, from them. My advice is really this: what we hear the philosophers saying and what we find in their writings should be applied in our pursuit of the happy life. We should hunt out the helpful pieces of teaching, and the spirited and noble-minded sayings which are capable of immediate practical application, not far-fetched or archaic expressions or extravagant metaphors and figures of speech, and learn them so well that words become works. No one to my mind lets humanity down quite so much as those who study philosophy as if it were a sort of commercial skill and then proceed to live in a quite different manner from the way they tell other people to live. Misfortune nobly born is good fortune. Limiting one's desires actually helps to cure one of fear. Cease to hope, and you will cease to fear. Widely different, as fear and hope are, the two of them march in unison like a prisoner and the escort he is handcuffed to. Fear keeps pace with hope, both belong to a mind in suspense, to a mind in a state of anxiety through looking into the future. Both are mainly due to projecting our thoughts far ahead of us instead of adapting ourselves to the present. Life is such unutterable hell, solely because it is sometimes beautiful. If we could only be miserable all the time, if there could be no such things as love or beauty or faith or hope, if I could be absolutely certain that my love would never be returned, how much more simple life would be. One could plod through the Siberian salt mines of existence without being bothered about happiness. Unfortunately, the happiness is there. There is always the chance, about 850 to 1, that another heart will come to mine. I can't help hoping, and keeping faith, and loving beauty. Quite frequently I am not so miserable as it would be wise to be. It is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more. It is more necessary for the soul to be cured than the body, for it is better to die than to live badly. In your actions, don't procrastinate. In your conversations, don't confuse. In your thoughts, don't wander. In your soul, don't be passive or aggressive. In your life, don't be all about business. Imagine smiling after a slap in the face. Then think of doing it 24 hours a day. If you want to make progress, put up with being perceived as ignorant or naive in worldly matters. Don't aspire to a reputation for sagacity. If you do impress others as somebody, don't altogether believe it. You have to realize, it isn't easy to keep your will in agreement with nature, as well as externals. Caring about the one inevitably means you are going to shortchange the other. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. If what you have seems insufficient to you, then though you possess the world, you will yet be miserable. I hear my silence talked of in every lane. The suppression of a cry is itself a cry of pain. How do you defeat terrorism? Don't be terrorized. Here is your great soul, the man who has given himself over to fate. On the other hand, that man is a weakling and a degenerate who struggles and maligns the order of the universe and would rather reform the gods than reform himself. From the philosopher Catullus, never to be dismissive of a friend's accusation, even if it seems unreasonable, but to make every effort to restore the relationship to its normal condition. For death remembered should be like a mirror, who tells us life's but breath to trusted error. Concern should drive us into action and not into a depression. No man is free who cannot control himself. Complaining does not work as a strategy. We all have finite time and energy. Any time we spend whining is unlikely to help us achieve our goals. And it won't make us happier. Always resignation and acceptance. Always prudence and honor and duty. Eleanor, where is your heart? A Stoic is someone who transforms fear into prudence, pain into transformation, mistakes into initiation, and desire into undertaking. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for some goal worthy of him. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. This is our big mistake, to think we look forward to death. Most of death is already gone. Whatever time has passed is owned by death. Think of the life you have lived until now as over and, as a dead man, see what's left as a bonus and live it according to nature. Love the hand that fate deals you and play it as your own, for what could be more fitting? The chief task in life is simply this, to identify in separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. That's why the philosophers warn us not to be satisfied with mere learning, but to add practice and then training. For as time passes we forget what we learned and end up doing the opposite, and hold opinions the opposite of what we should. People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. It's time you realize that you have something in you more powerful and miraculous than the things that affect you and make you dance like a puppet. It never ceases to amaze me, we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. If it is not right, do not do it, if it is not true, do not say it. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would have not mentioned these alone. If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change. It's the truth I'm after, and the truth never harmed anyone. If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable. I judge you unfortunate because you have never lived through misfortune. You have passed through life without an opponent, no one can ever know what you are capable of, not even you. I begin to speak only when I'm certain what I'll say isn't better left unsaid. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? How does it help to make troubles heavier by bemoaning them? He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. External things are not the problem. It's your assessment of them, which you can erase right now. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will, then your life will flow well. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. Curb your desire, don't set your heart on so many things and you will get what you need. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Be tolerant with others, and strict with yourself. What's the good of being stoical if nobody notices? To be stoic is not to be emotionless, but to remain unaffected by your emotions. The stoicism that comes of endurance has something of death in it. The average man is a conformist, accepting miseries and disasters with the stoicism of a cow standing in the rain. Stoicism in our day is not strength to overcome wishes, but to hide them. Stoicism teaches how to keep a calm and rational mind no matter what happens to you, and it helps you understand and focus on what you can control and not worry about and accept what you can't control. Stoicism is the wisdom of madness and cynicism the madness of wisdom. Stoicism is designed to be medicine for the soul. Floods will rob us of one thing, fire of another. These are conditions of our existence which we cannot change. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more videos.